And they've got places where you could try this out.
Right.
But I dropped it.
Right, yeah.
And let it die.
Right. Sandia National Laboratory is nearby too.
Sure, we could do it down in Kirtland or somewhere.
Right, yeah. And maybe China Lake. It has
China Lake.
It has plenty of room.
China Lake, we could do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, right. So we'll pass this on through the Navy and and we'll see what happens. Okay, thank you for your comment.
Okay,
right.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. Now push stop. Right?
Stop.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a condensed version.
A condensed version?
A highly condensed version of the thing. Sheila hates. She says, how can you weapons application?
You want to rewind? And then
Oh, you mean she,
check it a little bit?
your wife
she said, how can you work on something which might have weapons application? I said, you can't uninvent.
Well, yeah, I mean, these guys, they should know how to do
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said, you can't uninvent science.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you could work on this and never plan it for weapons, but
you can use a knife to stick into somebody, or you can use it to cut up your food.
I mean, the idea is a new energy source, which is not a weapon.
Well, you have to balance everything out.
Right.
You have the possibility of a very useful energy source. I mean, one possible scenario is that they've rubbished it because of their concerns about weapons application. But then you have to balance out the possibility of having...
You're recording?
It's okay.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
okay.
You have to balance out the question, the plus, which is an energy, a clean energy source. They're all agonizing about CO2 emission and the sea level and so on.
Yeah.
And here we have this thing which, with a little, I always said we need Manhattan too, but you don't really. With a little concentrated effort, we could get compact. We could get energy sources out. But, of course, there is the military side.
Yeah. But there's no funding. Like I can't work on it anymore in China Lake.
Well, I'm out of it.
Right. And I just hope maybe Italy can make some good progress with their program. But now with Preparata passed away, is that going to be a problem? I wonder.
Well, we pretend it is not going to be a problem.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, publicly we say it's not going to be a problem, but privately, of course, we are concerned.
Because he had the most political impact of anybody, didn't he?
It's like a steamroller.
Right, yeah. Who will take his place?
That's not clear.
Right, yeah.
It's not clear.
But you told me, I think, in a fax that they're making good progress. So.
Oh yes, I mean, there's no, electric diffusion system, I'm sure, can be engineered to give 10 kilowatts per cubic centimeter routinely.
Right.
The trouble with their systems is they're not robust enough, and that is why I think it's a brilliant idea. They have to be left alone working on this brilliant idea, and I want to slot some other more robust systems around that, which may not be as good as the ones they are working on, but in the end people are going to say we need a robust system. Yeah. Basically the whole thing was fairly clear. That if you take the approach which Stan and I had, then you had to say we have to go to positive feedback, and we have to integrate heat after death into the operating characteristics of the system.
Right.
And with that, I'm convinced you could make systems which will generate heat at several kilowatts per cubic centimeter at the boiling point of the electrolyte, which is like talking about 50% of the energy needs of the world.
That's about all I understand about it.
Now, in some of my work, you commented some cells don't reach the temperature of positive feedback. So is there? I don't know where that is.
I mean, the interesting thing about your thing,
I was on the border.
Is that you got there before you got to the temperature.
Yeah.
And this is just, we have this terribly incomplete matrix of experiments.
Yeah.
With palladium boron, we were going to work on, Makubri was going to work on. This is part of the story. He wanted very pure material from JM so that it could be alloyed. And boron was the first thing we were going to work on.
Yeah.
Now, it turned out the Japanese ran out of money, Makubri Stanford SI ran out of money, we ran out of money. So we had this 10 kilogram ingot of material, which we couldn't use.
Right. Because nobody had money.
Nobody had the money to do the experiments.
Right.
But what you have got, I mean, the Imam thing, this boron thing, you'd say, and boron was an obvious target because boron has been used for making, palladium boron was researched for an alternative palladium silver in diffusion tubes.
Yeah.
So this was obviously one system which had desirable mechanical properties which had to be looked at. And so if you get positive feedback early on in palladium boron,
at rather low temperatures.
at low temperatures,
Yeah.
you shout, Eureka, let's have a look at that. And that, of course, just means, what else should we look at? Well, we had a look at palladium silver. You would have to look at palladium silver and palladium cerium.
Right.
And today, listening to the people trying to look at the cross-sections in various metals, I mean, the obvious thing is to put 4F electrons into the system.
Yeah.
You know, you've got all the D electrons you'd ever get with palladium.
Right.
With palladium, so what happens when you put 4F bands in there?
Yeah, and that's what you do with boron or cerium, I guess. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Samarium.
And you don't need very much, right?
You don't need very much.
Yeah. Right. But it certainly changes the material.
That's right. And I set up, we had these factorial experiments in Utah, and we said, well, we'll do one with the very obvious factors, one with less, 32, and we're another 20. We had 80-some experiments done here at one time, and we will take one of these factorial experiments and look at the processing variables and the alloy composition variables, because we factored that out. We said we have one satisfactory material, let's do all the tests on that, while thinking that eventually, of course, we'd use the factorial system to look at the processing variables and the compositional things. Yeah. But the university couldn't come to an agreement with Johnson Matthey.
Yeah.
So it was terrible, actually.
So maybe the reason some palladium works is because it has some of these impurities in it already.
Yeah, that is the horrible fault.
Right, yeah, right.
You know,
right.
That is the thing you always, in the back of your mind, well, have you nailed the compositional variables adequately?
Right.
Yes, it's terrible.
Right.
When I look at this whole subject, I'm totally in despair about it, really. We've just been going backwards.
Right.
Now, since you did your helium work, where's that advance? Well, electrodiffusion is an advance.
Yeah, that's a new procedure.
And I think now I was thinking about what I should do. Really, basically, there's nothing I can do. I have no facilities, so I can't do anything. And really, what happens now is people work on all sorts of different things, which, of course, unsurprisingly shows the subject is much more complicated. There are many more ramifications.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right.
And eventually, of course, it will progress.
Right.
But the main thrust of the work has been blunted.
Yeah. It doesn't have a clear focus.
No clear focus.
Right.
And we said the only justification for us to continue is to have a very narrow focus.
Right.
Let's now run out.
Right.
Because first we can't continue. We could not continue it in a way which would allowed us to achieve this focus. So now we're out of it. And so all these other things have to come in.
Yeah, I think somebody ought to be investigating, the excess heat of it. And that's another area.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. But I don't know who's doing it.
Nobody.
Right.
And you're not doing any, so.
Well, we did it. We did it in 1994. We had it boiling for what was it, for 50 days it was boiling for. 1 kilowatt per cubic centimeter excess. The actual excess was about, probably even more, about 80 watts excess. 100% excess.
I wish now that I'd done the boil off with the palladium cerium. I just turned it off. I didn't boil it off. I should have done the boil off.
You see, the boil off is actually, did you read, you haven't had time to read that. The boil off is actually the easiest thing to interpret.
Yeah, right.
You just say, I start to boil, I boil off that much heavy water, that needs that much energy, I know how much I put in, and I know how much goes out of the walls.
A rough calculation.
A rough calculation,
right.
bingo.
Right, yeah.
Why bother with everything else?
Yeah.
Don't need to calibrate the cells. Don't need to measure the temperature.
Right.
Don't need to do anything. I said to Douglas Rosen once, when it boils, you just put your finger on and say, it's boiling.
Yeah.
And then you say, it's empty.
Right, yeah.
23,700 seconds and it's empty.
Right, yeah. Right. And you know how much power you put in.
You know how much power you put
and how
in
much power it took to
through the
boil it.
walls.
Right, yeah. Right, yeah.
And how much you need to boil off the heavy water.
Right, yeah. Right.
It's not a very complicated, demanding
Yeah.
calculation.
But hardly anybody's doing it.
Nobody's doing it. You see, I think people don't want it. And when I think how easy it is to do some of these things, and then that in this whole ensemble of collection of people, nobody's doing it, I say, well, there's only one explanation: they don't want it.
Yeah. or they don't understand how to do it.
No, they don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the only explanation is that the people who control these things absolutely don't want this thing.
Yeah.
Which is what I told.
Like the people in Japan, they don't really, they don't want officially for people to know there's something here, I would guess.
I guess that is the thing.
NHE people.
I guess that is it.
They would, but the question is whether they're going to work in secret on further. But you know, I think Japan has a unique advantage. They have all your data from IMRA Europe. They have all the NHE data, and so they should know there's something there.
Well, the reason I wrote this thing, and we should publish this paper, is I don't want them to come along later on and say, hey, but we had it all the time.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they did have it all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to say, hey, we made a mistake, we had it all the time, and that is notarized, and we are now the kingpins. I want to say, you had it all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. But I thought Dr. Asami or somebody from that group would be here, but they're not even at the meeting this time.
Can't show their face.
Yeah.
I think they're just fall guys in the end.
They're-
They upset all the people who've been done these things and they come out in opposition. They're just fall guys.
Yeah.
So are we actually.
Yeah. There might be somebody higher up than Dr. Sami and Matsui.
Oh, well, yeah,
They're controlling what is being done. Perhaps.
just too
Yeah.
bad.
Right.
It's been nice knowing you don't let the door slam into your bum.
Because Dr. Sami was a nice guy in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah, yeah. They're nice guys.
Right, yeah.
Nice guys. But I think, I think with something of this magnitude, you always, in the end, suffer for having done it. Look at what happened to the bomb people. They suffered for it, didn't they? They were discredited by the public and discredited by the establishment. But necessary during the war. It's been nice knowing you, Mr. Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Don't let the door slam into your bum on the way out.
Yeah.
Said he once again.
Yeah. Do you think the Soviets could have been on to some of these ideas?
They were researching this, I'm sure.
The cold fusion ideas, some of them. The person I talked to back in Washington, he said that they were doing a lot of work in loading metals with deuterium and then subjecting them to pressure.
Yes.
They were doing some of that already.
Yes.
And he knew about it.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
And you see, Steve Jones said something interesting to me. He had this idea of trying to measure the neutron flux under compression.
Right, yeah.
And he said when he told the people in St. Petersburg, then Leningrad, about it, they wouldn't talk to him anymore.
Yeah, really? They maybe were
And
working.
what I find so interesting about it, that this is a good idea which Steve Jones had. Why hasn't he done it?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have diamond anode press into just to do two-dimensional spectroscopy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Correlating the neutron spectrum with the pressure.
Right, yeah. With what sample would you use?
Anything.
Yeah.
Any deuteride. Titanium deuteride, uranium deuteride.
Just put under intense pressure.
Yes, in a diamond anode press.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought of doing this in Sophie Antipolis.
Yeah.
Because this is very similar to doing reflective spectroscopy.
Yeah.
And Buick was there, Pons was there, we could have done it.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, we're not going to do this. It's too, you know.
You know, Tracy Hall, he invented the diamond anvil press for General Electric. He later went to BYU. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. So
Wheels within wheels.
Yeah.
So things become more clear.
Yeah, right. But that's what he was a member of the Mormon Church, and after he invented the way to make diamonds, he went to BYU. So they I don't know whether he was there at Steve Jones's time, but he was there earlier, you know.
Well, you know, this is one of the things which needs to be done.
Right, yeah.
You can get high pressures in a diamond anvil press, and neutron detector, just see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's not so difficult, is it, Mel? People seem to find experiments, unconventional experiments, very difficult. They're now so adjusted to sticking things in front of an apparatus, and if it doesn't fit, they give up.
Yeah. And so many people don't do data analysis properly. You're the only one. You're the only one I know who can do it so thoroughly and accurate.
Well, data analysis is actually not very difficult. It's just damn boring.
It takes time.
It takes time.
Even on a computer. It takes time.
I think the point is that the research proposals are not costed on the basis of data analysis.
Yeah.
This is not put in.
Yeah.
You know, people just don't put in. And by the way, I need $500,000 to analyze the data.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
There's still a lot of my data from Japan that needs the data analysis. Stan Fons is going to be working on the co-deposition. They were shorter experiments, about 10 or 14 days. But with your papers, I think he knows maybe how to proceed. And he's going to try to do data analysis on the co-deposition.
Stan Spark.
Yeah, right, yeah. Because he has time I don't have. I only can do this on a weekend. You know? But he can do
we
it
should
every day.
analyze your palladium cerium thing.
Yeah. I'll
print that off.
Yeah,
I'll have a look at
print
it.
the data and mail it to you.
Do you have Excel?
I have a computer, but a lot of this you have to do by hand.
Oh, okay.
Because you know the boil-off, the first thing you look is at the boil-off, and you can't put that in on the standard Excel program. Well, you bits of it, but you can do as well with a programmable calculator.
Yeah.
You don't need a computer.
Okay. Well, the data that Sumi sent me was done in a way that for Excel 97 I could not put it in columns, but with the new Excel 2000 I can.
Well, I mean, if you've got the ASCII files, it'll do.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if we can have just columns of figures, time, you know, and these other measurements like that, that's
Okay.
the best way. Because then you can look at it and you can spot things.
Right.
Yes, okay.
You know, it is very easy when you're experienced to say, this is an interesting experiment. This is an interesting bit of this experiment.
Yeah.
Now, when you do things by Excel and you have all these spreadsheets up on the computer, you can't see this. Well, I can't see it.
But, you know, I've taken the data for the heating cycle and I plotted it all by hand on a large piece of chart paper. But that's tedious.
Now, here is an interesting thought. They obviously rewrote the data acquisition software for the Icarus 2. Not yours, but the one they used.
Right.
They rewrote, and they rewrote it in such a way that the heating pulse starts midway between two data acquisition points.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that means they have the maximum inaccuracy in deducing the true heat transfer coefficient.
Yeah.
Now that I find totally remarkable, that someone should rewrite the software and plonk it so that it is in the middle.
Right. 300 seconds, 150 seconds, they start the heating cycle.
That's right.
So
But you can't tell that by looking at the spreadsheet. You can't tell that by just looking at the spreadsheet.
When I look
you
at
have to do a bit of hard work on this.
Because I see a data point here, then the next data point increases in temperature.
Yeah.
So you don't know whether something happened in between, though.
Well, I found out.
But by how far it increased, or what?
No, with their data set, I found it's halfway in between.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so since they did integrated forward
Right,
and didn't take this into account, they would have a maximum inaccuracy.
Right. How did they integrate backwards? Like,
I don't know. Well, Stan Pond said to me, look, it's much easier if we want to make a system which works forwards, march.
Right, yeah.
It's much easier to integrate forward.
Right, yeah.
I said, okay, Stan, we'll integrate forward.
Yeah.
I said, that will work providing you have 12. I'm getting cramp.
Okay.
Really getting a cramp.
That will work.
Me too.
That will work okay with you have a 12-hour heating cycle.
Yeah. Right.
But so what they did is have 6-hour heating cycles and integrate forwards.
Right, yeah. The 6 hours is certainly not long enough, though. You know.
Well, it's enough if you do the analysis correctly.
Right. The 6-hour heating cycle, but it doesn't quite reach equilibrium very well.
Well, you have to give that. You can't interpret that in any case.
Right, yeah.
Maybe you need to start walking, huh?
To walk slow, or that helps. You need potassium.
That's what I need.
Have a banana for lunch.
That's right.
Yep. That's what you could.
Banana or potassium.
Yes.
Same thing.
Right, yeah. Right, yeah.
I think he's the man.
But I don't understand how they could get energy without. If they deuterated the system, then I would understand it better. But it's not. They didn't mention being deuterated.
Well, they haven't told you everything.
Right, yeah. Deuterated, probably, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it possibly. The question now is, can you have other other candidate nuclear reactions?
But I thought that would be kind of quite different if you force metal through a zeolite channel where it's almost atom by atom that goes in. Would that be a structure breaking type of process?
Well, the structure breaking energy release is you compress something and it stores energy.
Right. Yeah.
And the amount of energy it stores is about equal to the bond energy of the system.
Yeah.
The total bond energy. And so, of course, it can fly apart.
Right.
Because now you've broken all the bonds.
Yeah.
And you get these sort of cold explosions. And this is what the uranium shell does. Right. It produces uranium powder in fragments. And I mean, Preparator says, well, it's opposite. Fragments into the critical instruments.
Right.
So you have very high powder with enormous velocities. So it just penetrates the armor.
Yeah. We've done work in China Lake on armor piercing. You know, deplete uranium for armor piercing.
Yeah, that's the way it works. And when you've got one, you can think of other things. Other things to do with it, those things. Anyway, we don't have any nice supplies.
Another thing about this thing in France is that it's important to have a non-wetting liquid. The aluminum, when it melts, is non-wetting with the zeolite. It's a non-wetting liquid. Then there was somebody by the name of Yershchenko that worked out some new thermodynamics. Have you ever heard of Yershchenko thermodynamics before?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know what it is.
It has to do with the non-wetting liquids in capillaries, so pressure and releasing the energy.
Where's that written out?
Nowhere in the literature, right? But the French had a translated copy.
Do you? Now, are you going on? You're not going on the trip.
No.
So what shall we do? Shall we try and get somewhere to eat?
Yeah, that would be good. Right. Yeah.
I have not that much time. I think you better here.
Same with us. Do you want to leave a briefcase in my car? Or do you want us to carry it?
I don't want to carry it. You could leave it in your car and walk down.
Yeah.
You can't find a parking place down there. That's the problem.
Just leave it here.
He's left his car here since we've got here.
Everywhere I go, I can't park.
Which hotel are you in?
Shelley.
Oh yeah. Good.
There's no. I've got a ticket that was parking already, so I tried to just leave it here. My car.
I'll go ahead and take the video camera back to the room, though.
So we leave this in here, go near Mile to eat, and come back for the posters. And so they want to nag me then. So there you are.
So you're gonna go with us to eat, right?
Yes, but I need my purse and my jacket to take back to the hotel. You want to get my purse there? My fanny pack. I don't need this. Thank you.
Is there a restaurant here to eat at?
I don't think there is there?
I don't know, but it sure would be convenient. If they don't have it that way, they should, huh?
Yeah. We could ask whether we can get into
Yeah, we can just get inside, man.
that would be a good thing.
There was a sign that said restaurant.
That is, but it may be a meaningless sign.
Is there a place to eat? Oh, I don't have a beer, not one yet.
I asked them, please, they come immediately. I'm waiting for this.
All right. We'll go
She
down.
said, I will come.
It's just at the bottom and turn left, Louis. The bottom and turn left.
Franco Francini.
We go to the bottom and come left.
Okay.
That's the great Louis Smollett.
So we can go down to steps this way. Oh,
That's
that's
a big deal in MIT.
Oh,
in the Lincoln lab.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't he have a theory relating to cold fusion too?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Too many theories, right?
Well, you know, dear old Peter Hagerstein, I think respect him, but he's recycling some pretty ancient stuff.
Yeah.
So he's got this ancient stuff on solids, ancient stuff on nuclear reactions, and it's all based on the concept of the quantum particle, which is antithesis. You know, you just don't get think that way. Preparata, we are thinking about you. So I think that Emilio and I think we have to write a book.
You have to write a book, huh?
Does
You know, I think, should I write a book on cold fusion? A book on QED? That's another story.
Someone has a book on QED, don't they?
Preparata wrote a book on QED.
Oh, okay.
Unreadable.
It's unreadable.
I said to Emilio, this book is not exactly user-friendly.
Yeah.
I said, I know. I said, we have to write a book more like Feynman.
Yes.
So then Emilio started to argue with me about the title. Jesus, you know, I said, I had a simple title, The Effect of Density on QED, which is really the thing you have to talk about, you know. You have a dilute plasma Schwinger in Feynman, and you have more compressed things, and you have black holes. All happens is increase the density. So density and the effect of density on QED, which is a simple thing. So Emilio started to complicate it immediately.
Leave it to an Italian.
Whatever to persuade him to take it back.
Does Emilio understand QED pretty well?
I think Emilio is actually a pretty sharp theorist. but having preparata, to stand in the shadow of preparata. Preparata is a man, which is Newton. Really? He's of the second philosophy.
Right, yeah.
And people don't like that. This is the age of the common.
You watch it.
This is the age of the common man. Yeah. They can't say. And he was a very unpleasant man. Very unpleasant in many respects. Because if he thought you were a fool, he said you are a fool.
Right, yeah.
Well, that doesn't endear you.
He probably lost his temper with many people, right?
Well, you know what, Newton was a I was once told by a chemistry class that he was Cambridge, was Newton was giving a lecture, someone didn't know the answer to something, and he tore out a little piece of paper like this and said, there, write on this everything you know. That's Newton.
Oh my! How to influence people, huh?
We are going to have some lunch.
Oh. Yes? You don't need anything else?
No?
No?
No, we can
I saw your wife.
She will have it.
Yeah. No, she's on a trip. She left 5
She
minutes
left?
ago. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
And she was having fun.
Good.
It's a lot harder to go back up. But you have to watch the steps, they're not that good in places too.
I seem to have changed my route.
You ever gone this way?
Maybe I am.
You can go down the road. This is kind of bad right here. You have to be careful.
Yeah, I know. This is not exactly marble slab steps.
No.
How about a few rocks?
So you have landed in this terrible, of all the things to land in, this project it is.
You mean the cold fusion project?
My project.
Well, she's got to go with me to some good places though.
Wow.
Yeah, but you had to pay for it. The U.S. Navy wouldn't.
It's not so bad, is it?
Yeah.
No, this is not too bad a place to be. If you had to be at a place, might as well be this place.
We enjoyed your talk.
Oh, thank you very
But we
much.
couldn't work out exactly what you had done.
Because I didn't show all my slides.
You had various concepts. I said to someone who's next to me, that looks like chapter 12, what I sent to the Japanese in 1992. And then you actually did something.
Yes, I didn't show my last slides.
You've actually generated excess heat
Yes.
in some science. So now you just have to integrate the circuit. I shall find chapter 12 of my report. It's so obvious what you have to do, isn't it?
Yes.
Just doing it is
The
difficult.
second part of the work is trivial.
Difficult, but trivial.
No, the first part is
The first
still
part is
because I
difficult
has
and non-trivial.
excess heat and I'm not able to control it. If we can control it.
Because there's positive feedback, my friend. That's very powerful.
I don't think so.
Yes, there is. I'll talk to you. He's a good guy. This is one of the good guys.
How do you also talk it acid too?
However, we have a more important question for you. Can we get something to eat here?
Yeah.
Yes, but you need to go.
No,
there.
we don't want to go there.
No.
It must be something else here.
Before in the second hotel, you can have a restaurant on top.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
hotel? What was the first hotel? The Florida, does that have a...
And they're looking at evidence to Illinois.